A warm welcome back to my channel, where in this video is the full point of view race of the Boddington 10. Boddington is a wonderful village in the county of Gloucestershire in England, and this race is organised by the CLC Striders. It's an absolutely brilliant race, sold out again this year despite adding another 50 places to last year's numbers. Yes, absolute sellout, and here we are ready to go. 3, 2, 1, let's go, go, go! So as you can see, we get off on a nice tidy start, nice and easy to go. After all, it is a 10-mile race, yes, not a park run or a 100 metre race. Yes, we're going steadily along here. It was a pretty cold, blustery day, nothing too strenuous in terms of weather, to be honest. As you can see, you know, it's not cataclysmic end of the world type weather, and also the benefit was it was a bit breezy in some directions. It's a circular route, so we do 4 laps around Boddington village, and so yeah, if there was any blustery wind in one direction, then you'd obviously get the benefits from the other direction. But yes, we're heading off here along the Boddington lane, going towards the first loop area. We haven't got to Boddington village just yet, but we're heading along here on this lovely lane, and as you can see, it is pretty beautiful weather, to be honest. When you look at it from this perspective, whilst it felt cold and bleak on the day, it didn't feel too bad. I'll be taking you through all the way. Now, you can listen all the way through. I'll be giving you some details of what happened in terms of my pre-race the day before, because there was lots of drama the day before, and also the morning of the race. If you've already seen my race day vlog, if you haven't, then please do go back on my channel and have a look there. And also, if you do feel the inclination, if you haven't already subscribed, then please do consider subscribing to the channel, because it really does help keeping it all good, clean racing. Now, unbeknownst to me, the chap towards the front there in the stripes, that's the, I think it's the 7 Racing Club. I can't remember the exact name of it, but that guy in front there, his number was 63, which is my age. Now, I'm trying to hold a particular pace here, so whilst it is a race, I'm not going all out racing, because right now I'm in the midst of marathon training. So for me, I did do a bit of juggling, moving around my long run, because 10 miles is not enough as a particular long run for marathon training. So I thought I'd use this as the tempo run of the week. So some weeks I throw in tempo runs just to keep the pace going. So for me, it was about keeping it consistent and show the paces as we go along, but it was relatively consistent. So I'm trying to hold with this guy here, but he is at times picking up, and you'll see a lot of the orange vests in front. That's Western Tempo Club, and there's absolute amazing athletes they have. There's an almost athlete to my left there, which is another Cheltenham club. Lots of those as well. I think they had a 5-mile race a week before, organised by themselves in Up Hatherley, part of Cheltenham. But yes, all that group there with the orange vest, Western Tempo. Just as a bit of an info for you, the top 3 that finished this race were all from Western Tempo. So just to give you an idea of the quality of athletes that they have. But they do have athletes of all levels, and the same with CLC Striders and other clubs, running clubs in the area. So I'm now getting into my stride. There's a few people there passing through. You see one of the Stroudon District Club, I think, is the green vest in front. So that guy going through at quite a pace. So we're now in the village of Boddington. On the left there was the church. Hello, photographer. Yes, I think they did capture some great photos of ourselves going around on the 4 loops. So we're now on the first loop around Boddington village. We do also pass an MOD complex for Boddington. No idea what goes on there, but for those of you who are unfamiliar what MOD stands for, Ministry of Defence, so I'm sure it's all top secret stuff going on there. I don't know, but I do jest. So no, I have no idea what goes on there. So we've got a good group here going at a steady pace, and you'll see the lady to my right there for Stroudon District Club, and also the chap in the black vest up front there. I tend, you know, most of this race, those guys were within sight of me, so I was almost trying to use them as pacers. So there's quite a gap between me and them, because with the camera that's filming here, the GoPro Hero 11 wide angle lens, they are close but not that close, so I'm trying to keep them close, but coming along here along the lane, it's yeah, keeping the pace and holding that pace, and looking at the different styles of shoes as well. It was quite hilarious on some of the routes where, without mentioning some brands, I think what we have there, the chap in the middle is New Balance, I think the guy on the left is that Nike, and the lady on the right, it looks like Adidas to me. So quite a mix of shoes. For me, I was in my Adidas Takumi Sen, the version 10 of those, and I do love them. Whilst I think they're designed for 5k, 10k, for me personally, I quite enjoy running a good tempo pace in them, whatever the distance. I have ran half marathons in them as well. So you see me pass those three athletes, and I was getting a bit maybe overexcited trying to catch this other group of Western tempo runners in front, because it's still early days and trundling through a nice steady pace. So these guys were going at a clip, and clearly I don't know if they train together, run together, but they're certainly all working as a strong group together here in the early start parts of the race. So we're coming along here. You can't see any indication of strong winds here, and certainly from the sound, I think we might have even had, it was pretty calm to be honest, and going round and round on the country lanes here, so I'll leave you to enjoy, because there is a bit of an out and back coming up now. Hello Marshall. It was very well marshalled, this course, I must say. So we're coming up to mile 1. There you go, first mile complete, 9 miles to go. Now, whilst I don't have the mile splits to me, because would you believe on my Garmin I measure European style in kilometres, that's right. So I'm running a little over 4-minute kilometre pace for the first set of kilometres. So it's around 6-minute 30 per mile. And on the left here we are now passing the MOD centre for Boddington. And we're heading towards the out and back section. So you can see I've tucked in nicely with the 3 Western tempo athletes here who are going at a very tidy clip, shall we say. And by the way, that sign there, 8 miles, no, we haven't done 8 miles yet. Depending on what loop you're on, I think that will be on the final 4th loop, that will be mile 8. And obviously from there will be 2 miles to the finish, if you like my calculations. Hello spectators, it was lovely to see the spectators there coming out on that house on the left, and they were there for the whole duration of the race, so really did appreciate the support there. So we're now coming to the out and back. You might see a familiar face in the distance there. Are we coming towards the out and back? So there were a number of other YouTubers. There was Dan Does Fitness, there was also Max, and also there you see Forrester Dean runner, Andy Rayner, just going to the left there. Ran an amazing race. I won't say what position he was because I'm sure you'll be watching his vlog. And as you can see to my right, the Stratton District lady has now passed me. She's got a gel at the ready, so obviously running within the gel. And being an out and back section, it was important to keep to the right as the other athletes quicker than us were on the left there. So quite a few coming out and back. So down this, it was mildly downhill on this section, so obviously as we turn around we're going to end up on the uphill section. Coming to the turnaround around that cone. Oh, it's like chicane. Yes, Monaco Grand Prix chicane tear. And we got round and heading back up the hill to get back onto the Boddington circuit while still doing our first lap. Now for me it was quite an interesting morning. you may have seen my race day vlog where I'm doing a bit more chatting or whatever, and obviously there's not the detail of this. And whilst we're going up on this hill, there is, as you can see, there's people passing me going up the hill, and someone's coming on. So someone passed me on the inside and on the outside, which is quite a hairy moment for them, possibly, as there's athletes coming down the hill towards us. So we now turn a right and head back onto the Boddington loop. So still on our first loop, Strathern District runner there, pushing ahead on the first loop. So we've done about 1.5 miles so far. And I'll stick with the two Western Tempo runners. I think that was Fee and Charlie up front there. The two Western Tempos clearly running together, pacing each other, and as you can see, both in unison, stride for stride. And I'm just sitting in with them and just holding my pace. I'm running on feel, I'm not looking at my watch. No, that's not 6 miles yet, that will be on loop number 3. So I'm not checking my watch, I'm just feeling good and running on feel. As I said, tempo effort and tempo feel, so I tend to run my training runs based on feel rather than looking at my watch to see what pace. And you'll see both of these athletes in front, neither of them are looking at their watches either, so both of them very accomplished athletes, just running on feel, how they feel at time, running together, keeping that pace, which is really great to see. So for me, as I was saying earlier in the morning, it was a bit dramatic. In fact, the day before was also a dramatic one. So some people say, you know, we be open and transparent here on the YouTube, showing you the good, bad and the ugly, and in terms of preparation for this. And for races like this, sometimes, especially in the winter, for myself, maybe age might be a factor as well, being in my mid-60s. The day before was, let's just say I visited the toilet a number of times, shall we say. So yeah, and it continued on the morning where I think I had 3 toilet visits, and literally driving down the motorway. It's not too far for me to get down to Boddington, Cheltenham area, so it was only about a 30-minute drive, but I had to stop on the motorway service station on the way down for another toilet stop. And no, not nervous pee, but that other kind of toilet stop. And yeah, so I wasn't feeling the best. I did have a bit of a bug virus on Tuesday, Wednesday. I did take some night nurse, for those of you who know the UK drugs. I had a night nurse Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and I felt better on Thursday. Went out and completed a very easy long run on that day. So maybe there was something still tail end of some bug or virus that I had, which is a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, as I say, through the winter months, coming out of Christmas. As for me, this is the first race I've taken part in for this year, and was very much enjoying it. Now, as we're progressing here, you can see the 2 Western Tempo athletes are going at a really good clip. And the guy in the black vest up front also. So as a group, the 4 of us are keeping a good pace. There were, you may have heard some clipping earlier, there was a few people trying to race us and try and pass us, but I think they weren't able to sustain the effort. So we're now beginning to spread out, as you can see, with the athletes up front as well. And it's almost like a procession now of just a line of athletes. And the only people we pass are the people who are beginning to tire. But most people are now settling into their pace and holding a really good pace. So I let the race video itself, without any commentary from me, just run for a short while. You may have heard a bit of wind, So this is a section where it was a bit blustery. I can't recall whether it was coming into our faces or a bit of a crosswind, but as I said earlier, nothing too dramatic, and being a circular route, we were benefiting whatever direction it was blowing in the opposite direction that we were running. So yes, circular route, we were getting the, let's say, mix and match. So there was a bit of a call there from one of the athletes, I think telling one of the guys to continue, whether they were feeling a bit tired or the pace was a bit much. But now I'm just with one of the Western Tempo runners, and again, he's holding a great pace here. I think he's holding on to the shirt of the guy in front in the black top and black shorts, which look a pair of those super nice New Balance shoes. So we are beginning to pass one of the guys here. So we're coming up to almost first loop. So you can see similar faces, those of us who passed earlier. We're all in the line here. So thank you, Marshall. And yes, it is open roads. None of the roads were closed, but we're all keeping to the left, following highway code. None of us wearing headphones, which is part of UK athletics rules on open road races. So I'm now tucked in with one of the Western Tempo runners here, and I think the guy in front here with the yellow sash vest was maybe slightly tired, as the guy in the black vest had passed him. So he's now trying to hold on to the guy who's just passed him in the black vest. So the guy with the yellow sash vest is holding on with him there. And it's a beautiful section of this course because we've now turned where we don't feel any of the wind. So it must have been a tailwind section on here. But as you can see, the road surface is absolutely immaculate. I think last year this was a brand new section, because I certainly recall this section being so smooth and newly resurfaced. So wonderful section of the actual race where it can go along. And you would have seen now that the man with the yellow sash has passed the one in the black vest. So one's either going quicker than the other, or people tiring. But you can see the three other runners up front, and two Strand and District runners. I can't see the vest of the other person in between, two Strand and District runners, but we're all running together. So there's about 3-4 of us, whilst to the left, so you've got the three guys to my just to my left there. Just on camera, you see the Western Tempo guy just coming in to shot. And again, like with a lot of racing, we're just holding this pace and see how we feel. So let's progress, and we'll continue the commentary once we come to Boddington Village and the church. We are now beginning to approach back to Boddington Village. If you look to the right, you might be able to see the church just above the hedge. There it is on the right hand side. So we're coming up into the boundaries of Boddington village. Hello photographer, I hope you got a good shot there. And this being the loop turnaround section, you can see there's a lot of spectators here. Cars have parked up, and it's fantastic to see the support here coming out from so many people. I'm still hanging on with this guy from Western Tempo. Charlie's doing a great job here, holding a fantastic pace, and I'm just literally hanging on to his tail. I wish I could go a bit quicker, but we've got a good crowd here, and right, you see big puddles from the rain the day before. Good crowds, lots of marshals. Brilliant, it's so well supported. And hello everybody, yes. And now we commence loop number 2 of 4. So we haven't. There's still quite a way to go. Are you hanging on here with me? Yes. Well, I mean, this is now where we're literally getting into our stride pace. And for those of you who are familiar with endurance running, is you tend to hold a particular pace or find a comfortable race pace and hold that and keep going and see how long you can keep that pace going. You may have seen some sections here, especially along the left here and on the right, sort of surface water from the rain the day before. It was pretty torrential the day before, but thankfully there was no rain at this point during the race. So yes, it was cold, but we dress appropriately. So for me, I had gloves on, sleeves, singlet, shorts and standard socks. So I find that the pace I'm running at, you can see the gloves, the gloved hands in front coming on camera there. So you can see for me it's important that I stay warm but not overheat. I tend to find that wearing a hat I overheat, so I don't wear a hat. I did have a headband on to catch the sweat, because would you believe, even in these cold temperatures I do get a bit sweaty. Not too much, but a bit sweaty. But yeah, say how it is. And you see the other people running in the opposite direction. Now, they're not confused. They are supporters. I think they were part of the Western Tempo support group, and they were certainly shouting out names. That's how I think I worked out that this man's name in front was Charlie, and the lady who was with him was Fee. So I kept hearing Charlie and Fee. And so I'm guessing that's what their names were, and I could hear them shouting out at the Western Tempo. So I think that was the Western Tempo support team. So they're running, and there's some other supporters cycling in the opposite direction. So they're continually going around oppositely and helping and cheering on people. So you can see that another cyclist there, Marshall. Thank you all for coming out. And to the left there, hello Marshall again. Thank you. So you can see to the left there the Ministry of Defence site that we're passing. Would love to know, as I said, what goes on there. Is it Bond, James Bond, or I think that's more Salisbury? There's a cap there. But anyway, we digress. We're here on a serious 10-mile race, and you can see the lady in front of Striders District holding pretty much the same pace as what we're doing here. But obviously, having gapped us earlier on in the race, it's quite difficult to close that gap. Once those gaps begin to appear in a race, it is difficult to bridge the gap. But you can see the Western Tempo guy in front is now to my side, so we're now running side by side. Again, I don't know whether I was speeding up, holding the pace, was it slowing down. It was all pretty marginal, I think. And you can see just to the right now and again, you will pop back in the picture, and you can see supporters on the left again. They were giving some good encouragement to us as we were running by, and yes, there's Western Tempo running back on shot. So we're literally running side by side together. So hello supporters, thank you all for coming out. As we approach the turnaround point that we had in the first loop, but it's only for the first loop, so we're just literally going to go left. We're not going to go straight down that lane as on the previous loop, we're just going to go left when we approach that particular road. So there is a number of marshals now that have standing across that road to make sure that we are just going left and not down the out and back section. So back on our second loop and continuing along here. Now there are some other runners where you would have seen him earlier, man with the black vest, singlet, and the other guy with the singlet. I think maybe they were holding just behind us now. And yep, here he is, he's coming back in shot. I spoke a little too soon. So yes, there's the chap in his black top, black shorts, New Balance shoes. Was sitting in behind us. Whilst he was going quicker, I think, on the first loop, he was sitting behind us on part of this second loop, and now he's decided to press on ahead. So maybe myself and the Western Tempo runner, maybe we were just slightly slowing down. Difficult to say, but when we're running on feel, or certainly for me running on feel, it felt pretty much the same all the way through. I could feel as the race was progressing, the effort was increasing slightly, but not too much. I won't tell you what happens in the last mile, so you'll have to continue watching for me to explain what happened in the last mile. But I'm now trying to hold on to this guy in the black singlet. So we've now dropped the Western Tempo runner who's now behind us, and I'm trying to hold on to the guy with the black singlet up front now, who's beginning to catch up the Stroud District runner up front. The lady there, again, holding a great pace. We're running at around just over 4 minutes per kilometre, so continuing steady pace, around 6 minutes 30 per mile. I'm saying that approximately. And just based on when I looked at my splits on Garmin, I'll share with you the full splits once we complete. And we're coming up to now. That was mile 4 that we've now completed. So we've done coming up to 2 loops. We'll have another 2 loops of the race to go. On our right, you'll see the water aid station appear. So this is a fixed station for all the loops. For those who wanted water. As you can see, none of us are taking on water at this point, but the option was there for runners to take on water if they need to. So now we've got a guy who's just passed us, a Western Tempo runner who you would have seen we passed on the first loop, but he's obviously been sitting back and he's now going for what we call negative splits, because he's passed us all here, and I don't think we see much of him after this. Once he presses ahead, he's then going at a completely different pace to all of us. So great running there from that Western Tempo athlete. So we come along down there, as I mentioned, we've got the aid station back there. So for all 4 loops, if you ever need water, I highly recommend to walk through an aid station rather than try and catch a glass of water whilst running, because you might probably end up with the whole contents all over you. Yeah, but we'll leave that for another demonstration. So a few cyclists going in the opposite direction, as I say, they're there supporting the runners as we are going through. Again, holding this great pace, keeping it going, coming around. As I say, sometimes these particular sections, it looks like that we're coming to a similar part. You get a bit of deja vu on the loops. I don't know, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. How do you feel about multi-loop and distant races? I'd love to hear from you. Everyone has all different views. I've certainly done many races where even for just say 5k you'll have a 2-loop course. Obviously we've done park runs where some park runs have 2 loops, some have 3, some have 4 loops. So small parks, running round and round. And we've got another 7 runner going past there in the Nike Alpha Fly. Now, as I was commentating, I think we missed the sound effect, because I do believe the shoes were squeaking. Yeah, do you run in Alpha Fly 3? I think those were the Alpha Fly 3. Do your Nike Alpha Flies squeak? Let me know in the comments below. But his were definitely squeaking, along with the, I think, the trademark carbon plate slap noise that a lot of the Nikes make. I don't know about all the other shoes. I don't run in carbon plated shoes myself. I have tried them over the years, and certainly they make a distinctive hard slap noise, but those gentlemen's particular shoes were squeaky because of the AirPods having there, and I know some people put some WD-40 in them to stop the squeaking. Did you spot the little baby there in arms? One of the supporters. Yes, everyone's coming out to support this race. Absolutely fantastic. So that guy from 7 and the Western Tempo are clearly now pushing on. They've had their warm-up lap and they're now going off at proper hardcore race pace. And you can see now the Stratton District runner, the lady there, is now tagging on to the back of those guys, and she is also picking up her pace. So there's now a gap beginning to develop, and you can see the gap is almost developing between me and the guy in the black vest. But now and again, I'm still pretty close to this guy, but the others up front are now seem to be pushing ahead. And I think he's trying to not allow the gap to build up. You see more supporters running in the opposite direction there on the right, cheering us all on, which is fantastic. It really does help. I mean, it's great seeing supporters coming out on these local races. It really is a great encouragement to all the runners and makes a massive difference. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to explain the science of people supporting it. There, another group going on the right there. And I have to say that traffic would have been absolutely magnificent there. You would have seen that car slowly passing through. So there's people on the right and the left. There's no cars racing through. You can see the car or that van on the right. So they're all going at slow driving speed. So they're not doing anything dangerous. But it's always best to be aware of traffic as we go along here. So we're heading now back, as I said, on this beautiful section of road back to Boddington Village, and you can really turn on the turbo here. If you've got the speed and energy and fitness, you can really fly on this section. It's absolutely magnificent. There's no headwind, no nothing. You can just literally put your head down and go. But for me, I'm holding on to this steady tempo pace. No racing here, because I know I've got another 2 loops and a bit to go. So it's still over 5 miles to go on this particular race. We haven't passed the 5-mile marker yet, so there's still over 5 miles to go on this particular race. So we haven't reached halfway, and you're still here listening to the commentary, which is fantastic. And I'll try and keep you entertained as we go through. I did mention earlier about some of the, I wouldn't say mishaps, accidents, but you know, Mother Nature sometimes, depending on what we eat or drink, or if we've been carrying some bugs, flu bugs and stuff that's going on at this time of year, we may not be in the best of shape. And for me, certainly, I was trying to shake off some bugs from earlier in the week. So running at this pace is brilliant for me. I just felt great. It's hard, certainly not easy. You know, running at these paces and holding that. Yes, thank you, supporters. People there clapping as we go through. Again, cyclists in the opposite direction. I think that was one of the official marshals, bright orange top. So we are now coming up to 5 miles. Yes, so we're halfway through the race, and I think I did check my watch, and it was showing about 32 minutes. Somewhere around there, 32, 33 minutes. It's certainly over 32 minutes. I said 32 something. So I knew I was going at a really steady pace. That's the only time I glanced at the watch before coming at the end of the race. So you can see I glanced at there just to check my timings. We're now approaching Boddington Village again. To the right, just above the hedge, you'll see the church. And we're coming to the boundaries of Boddington Village. So we're over halfway just, and completed that in around 32, 33 minutes. So we're on for, if it's 32, and if I can hold this pace, I'll be on for a massive PB overall. I think my PB is 105.50 something, 40 something, and the course PB on this course was 109. 1:30. Right there, 1 hour 9 minutes and 34. So right now I'm on for a massive quarter PB and a potential lifetime PB. So let's keep this going. See the car going through the big puddle. Big crowds here. Hello everybody. Yes, clap, clap, clap. We're having a great time. And here I'm now passing the tail runner, CLC Striders. So that's the tail marker, and you can see the runner at the tail there. Having a great time, let's say.
That's the tail marker.
And we're now going to start lapping some other runners. So there'll be a mix of runners that we're lapping, and also, but you can see that the chap up front. So now the guy up front is gapping me. So I've got my, I think this is where I've now got a gel out, because I was feeling energy wise, whether it was because of the bug or whatever, I thought I need to take a gel on. I always carry nutrition with me just in case, like the scenario what's happening right now. I never know how I'm going to feel or how things are going to progress, and I thought I need to take a gel. And you can see my right hand has now disappeared. Yes, oh there you go, see the gel's out, and so I'm now going to rip that off and start taking on some of the nutrition to help me get along with the second half of the race. So here we go, yeah, rip the top off. Now this is a high 5 gel aqua that I use. I much prefer the very liquidy, runny type gel. I'm not really into the Morton gels, which is like a thick jelly. Considering I'm going at quite a pace here, I need to be able to take on the nutrition without choking or gagging. But as you can see, whilst I'm taking this gel, I am slowing down. So there's now a massive gap. I've been absolutely gapped by that group up front there, and it's just me on open space. Couldn't do anything about that. You know, I've got to take on my gel, and that's more important than trying to keep up with the other runners. And so you'll see that I'll benefit from this as the race progresses. So whilst I've been gapped by that big group up front there, I'm now running solo. So yeah, not the best of scenarios during a race because you want to be with someone, but I had to take on that gel, and the gap is done. So I'm now putting the empty gel back into my pocket that I've got it from. I don't throw it on the floor, so that's why you would have seen the hand disappear. Putting it back in the pocket where I came from. So I do run with shorts that have got pockets to carry gels on the side. So it's the same shorts that I use for marathon racing. Thank you, Marshall. Good to see you out there. And another Marshall on the turn there. Coming back along the MOD Boddington. And yeah, so the guy in the black vest. So we're now lapping some other runners here on the left. Great to see. And as I said, in this particular race, you've got people of all abilities taking part, which is fantastic to see. So there's some super incredibly fast athletes, and I think in terms of the first two runners, they came in under 50 minutes. Yes, 50 minutes. And then there's other runners like this coming in a slower time. It doesn't really matter. We're all taking part. Very, very inclusive event, which is great to see. And we're all out and about. So some supporters there on the left encouraging us. So supporters there for some of the runners to help them along. But whilst there's a gap there, I'm not closing any gap. So it is quite a distant one. But for me, it's just a case of head down and continuing at my particular pace that I had been running. So whilst I'd slowed down taking on the gel, I'm now beginning to pick back up and get back into my rhythm. So you can see, whilst there's a group and we're lapping some of the other runners here on the left, it is quite a distance before you see the other runners. But I've got my eye on them. I don't want them to get away any more than they already have. So we just keep it going. Keep it going. I don't know. Leave in the comments below if you take on nutrition gels on 10-mile races, half marathons, 5-mile races. And thank you, supporters. Do you take on gels? Certainly for marathons, I'm very much a gel person. I have a number of gels at different distances to help get me through the 26.2. That's almost essential for me. But again, the number of gels depend on how I feel and what race strategy I'm doing. So that is again there. But for me, on this particular race, it's just the one gel that I've taken. So you can see the gap now is beginning to close. So there's a Western Tempo runner on the left there, orange top, and a Stroudon District runner on the right. But it looks like one of those may be tiring, or am I getting quicker? Because now I think those people have gapped the Stroudon District runner. So I'm now got my eye on racing and still keeping me pace, because again it's keeping it effort. So whilst it's tempting to try and race down and catch down all these other runners, I'm trying to be mindful that this is a training run for me, tempo run. You know, it's not racing all out, it's not a British Masters medal race or anything like that. So you know, it's keeping it controlled at the same time, still pushing it a little bit, but not too much, certainly not going flat out, because for me, especially at my age, it takes a lot of time to recover from races if you're going all out in a particular race. So whilst we can do training runs, you can see quite a big group there. There's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, there's about 10 runners there. Now that's a mix of runners who are being lapped and also those of us who are running at our particular pace. So you see a group there with the yellow sashes, that's the group that's being lapped, and they're all running together, and then there's other runners there. So I'm trying to distinguish who are we racing, who are we with, and keeping that going. So yes, there's quite a group there. So it looks like some other runners. I can see that the runner on our right there, yeah, he's been running as part of our group, but now he's beginning to slow down. So coming to the nutrition points, and as I mentioned with the hydration, the cups of water, sometimes it might be worth slowing down or walking through an aid station and have a drink if you actually do need the water, rather than just throw it over your head to cool down or just get a splash and dash. If you want to drink the whole contents of the cup, it might be worth stopping, having a drink and then carry on. Excuse me. Oh, had to clear my throat there. So whilst we continue with the commentary, yes, we're coming into the section where this, I would say, is probably a bit of the blowy section, shall we say. And as I said, whilst we may be getting a bit of a headwind along here, we do get the benefit when we turn around on the other way, going in the opposite direction. We get the wind behind us. So yeah, I can clearly see that the guy in the orange vest has gapped the one in the green vest up front. So am I going to be able to catch up with that guy in the green vest, the Stroudon District runner earlier? In fact, if I do recall, that's the guy who passed me on the out and back section, back on the first loop. So be interested to see how the race progresses, to see if I do catch anyone else up during this race. Again, for me, just trying to hold as much of a steady pace as possible, and keeping my breath and not going a bit too crazy, because as I've said before, it's about maintaining a particular tempo pace, enabling me to recover and continue with my marathon training. I think there's a general, hello supporters, I think there's a general rule of thumb, it was mentioned by one of the subscribers, is when you're racing, recovery time, and this is for athletes of a certain age, whenever you allow 1 day per mile. So if you were to race this race all out, eyeballs out, gung ho, you need to allow 10 days recovery. Now, for us masters athletes, as we get older, it would need to be more than that. Now, as I say, it's not an exact science, but it's certainly a general rule of thumb. It does tend to make sense. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below what your general rule of thumbs are for recovery. Certainly going out running the day after a particular race, whatever the distance, may not be the best of ideas, but some people do. I'd love to hear from you there, but yeah, if I was to be going eyeballs out and everything on this 10-mile race, it would be over 10 days to recover. And the following week I have the Warwick Half Marathon, and I'm not racing that, I'll be part of a long run, nice and easy long run. I think maybe a couple of miles at the end at marathon pace. That's the plan. Whether I do marathon pace at the end is to be seen, but certainly if I'd race this running a long run, 1 hour 40, 2 hours long run, which I'll be doing, so it'll be a run before the half marathon, around 40 minutes, and then doing the half marathon afterwards, would be that good an idea. But we're on lap 3, so that 9-mile marker will be on the next loop, the last loop, where we have then 1 mile run to the finish. So I'm now getting closer to this guy. As you can see, the green top, Stratton district top, I am getting closer to this guy. Now for me personally, I don't feel as though I'm going faster, and having looked at the splits, the mile splits, kilometre splits, it is pretty steady. There were a few sections when I was on my own and it had slowed down mildly, but I'm tending to keep a steady pace here. So we're now, this is a hard slog. So one of the marshals there is passing us on the right. I think he's a marshal, he might be one of the Stratton district coaches, I don't know. So we're certainly calling out name to that guy there and giving him some support, helping him along. But as you can see, I'm absolutely getting up close now. So there you see the 2 lead runners from Meston Tempo. Wow. So I'm being looped, lapped, whatever you want to call it. Those 2 guys are absolutely flying. Absolutely flying. They did finish within 4 seconds of each other, so the 2 of them are running together. They both finished in under 50 minutes, so just to give you an idea of roughly what time I'll be coming in. So yeah, totally different league. So I've been lapping people and those 2 have lapped me. So amazing. But as you see, this road is a beautiful road and it's superb to be going flying at those speeds. So to be finishing under 50 minutes, that is, for 10 miles, doing calculations, that is under 5-minute miling for all 10 miles, which is incredible really when you think about it. So whilst I was closing the gap on that guy, the gap is now increasing again. So has he picked up the pace? Did he hear me? And this is what often happens in races. People will hear footsteps coming up close and then they pick up the pace. And because I'm sure I'm just trying to hold this particular steady pace. So I don't know whether he picked up the pace because he saw the 2 lead runners go by, or whether he's just hearing me catching him. So he's trying a few surges, but let's see, because it's getting quite exciting now, in terms of the race itself. Will I be able to catch him, pass him? As I say, for me, going at that steady pace. So we are lapping another runner here, and this is the 3rd loop. So once we come into Boddington Village, a pass on the inside there, so there's a wide enough gap for me to pass on the inside, holding the racing line, as we say. Yes. So rather than going all the way out and around, I just kept on the left hand side, passing some more runners. So am I getting closer to this guy from Stratton district? And we're now coming to the village of Boddington, and you can see the church on the right just over the hedge. That's the indicator that we're approaching the village. You can see the white gates left and right of this road, indicating the outskirts of Boddington village. And we're getting a really last lap coming up now. this is it now, the final loop of the 4 loops around Boddington Village before we head back to the finish line. And it's now literally between me and this guy to see who comes in ahead in this race. It is exciting for you watching. I'm not going to say what happens, because for me, as I say, I'm trying to hold a particular pace and continue at that pace. I don't want to be pushing too hard, because there's still about 2 miles to go of the race. We haven't passed the 8-mile marker yet, so there's over 2 miles to go. And when you've already ran 8 miles at a particular pace, turning on the gas with 2 miles to go may not be the best of ideas if you're looking to finish strong in a race. But you can see the other runners up front. Now again, I'm not wearing glasses or whatever during this race, so my sight isn't the best of sight, but I can see the runner in front. Now I'm just going at my pace, trying to hold that pace. You can see he just glanced at his watch, and I think this chap will be glancing at his watch quite a lot, so he's clearly got a particular goal or pace he's trying to do. Everyone uses their watches for different reasons. For me, I just literally switch it on. I did glance at it at the halfway point, and just to see what time I was at halfway, but normally I don't look at the watch at all, apart from the final sections. But this guy, I don't know whether he's tiring or what, using the watch to measure his pace, so he's looked at it again. He wants to hold a particular pace. It might be heart rate, effort, I don't know, but everyone's using their max. So I'm now literally on his back, so he can hear me, I can hear him, and yeah, if it was race conditions, racing it hard, it's one thing. Running it as a particular trainer, it's another thing also. So he's looked at his watch again, so he's clearly concerned of something that's going on and keeping looking at it. Over 2 miles to go. We haven't passed the 8-mile marker yet. So I'm now running up alongside him. So if he is tiring, I'm going to be passing him if I'm holding a particular pace. But again, with some runners, you can see here, if they hear me, they'll push and put another surge on to try and stay ahead of me as they are racing me. You know, this is a particular race. So we're now coming up to, say, it says caution whilst going there. Yes, Marshall's doing a great job. So we're now lapping a whole group of runners here, and you would have seen me being lapped by the 2 leaders earlier. So there's a whole group there from Dursley and District runners, almost athletes here as well on the left, Cheltenham. So lots of local Gloucestershire running clubs here also. So we're now right up on the back of this guy. That was a Bourton on the water. Road runners, from what I saw there. Yes, we've got the Bourton 10k coming up. So I'm now right up alongside him, and he's now running his pace. So I'm now trying to hold a particular pace, and I've now passed him and left there. So we've got, for one last time, the MOD Boddington on the left. So leave it in the comments if you tell me what's going on there. Maybe you shouldn't. I digress. So now I've passed that guy, and I can see these 2 runners. So there's a Western Tempo vest up front, a very distinctive orange vest, and the guy just in a black tee. So we're now passing the 8-mile marker. There it is on the left. So there is 2 miles to go. I know I have 2 miles to go, but again, not going to do anything crazy, because 2 miles are a long way. 3.2 kilometres. You know, those of you, hello supporters again, for those of you who do your park runs, 5k, start going all out, and we often tire out after about 3 kilometres, and then we're left hanging on for the last 2. Here we've been running for 8 miles, and we've got 2 miles to go. So yeah, going all out. So these 2 do play cat and mouse. So we saw the black t-shirt guy pass the orange vest, and as we progress through this race, you'll see these 2 play cat and mouse all the way through. So I'm just running my race, and you can see these 2 nipping and tucking to. So we've passed another, lapping another runner there, doing a great job. Yeah, some people building a fence on the right. To see them out there. So yes, the orange and black ahead of me. I don't see myself catching either of those two, but you never know what might happen. I've left the Strada district guy behind. I don't know where he is behind me. I'm just focusing on looking ahead. More supporters there. It's great to see him out clapping, which is fantastic. You might have heard a couple of things on the microphone there. One is my breathing. It's getting a bit more laboured, still not too strained or anything, keeping it controlled, but also you might have heard a bit of the wind, so it is a bit blowy on this section here, and holding that pace. So the man with the black vest has now pushed on ahead of the one in the orange vest, so there's quite a gap there, and he's certainly made a move. So in terms of racing, he's absolutely gapped the guy with the orange vest. But was that a wise move? We'll see how the race progresses. We're coming to the aid station again as we lap another runner, and we're coming up to the aid station on the right. But you can see the guy in black has made a move for it, so that's a very bold move. We've got like 1.5 miles to go for the finish, and the guy in orange is hanging on to it. So these two are clearly having a go, but I'm keeping them in my sight. I've not made a move. Am I going to make a move? I don't know. I don't want to spill the beans just yet, but I'm still keeping them in sight, and they're pulling away from me, but not too much. So there's the aid station on the right. Great job by the marshals there, helping us all with the water cups for those who want them, need them. And we're continuing here at a pace, still around the 6:30 per mile pace, around 4:03, 4:05 per kilometre, somewhere around there. Holding it steady, keeping it going. But again, we're lapping more people as we go along here, and you'll see that the two guys, the black vest and orange vest, are staying close together. So the gap between those two has closed. So the man in the orange vest has closed back on him. Or is the guy in black slowing down? So we're going to be hanging a Monaco right here, chicane, so I need to go on the outside of these two guys. We're on the inside line. Oh, she saw me here, left a gap. That was very kind of the lady there, yes. She could hear me coming, so actually left the gap, keeping our racing line. So that was very kind of the lady there. So yes, left a nice big gap for me to go on the inside there. And again here, lady leaving me a gap on the inside there, so we go through nice and straightforward. So the two in front, I don't know if they're tiring or am I going faster. I don't know, but certainly they're not letting go of each other, are they? Those two incessant on staying together. So whilst the guy in black did pull up a big gap, that gap does seem to have been closed by the man in the orange vest as we're passing a couple more runners on this loop. Another Boddington on the water runner there, which is fantastic to see. Looking forward to seeing you all there. A Gloucester runner there also. Looking forward to seeing you all at the Boddington on the water 10k in February. You can hear my bib there flapping in the wind. Yes, it's bouncing on my singlet and also being held there, but the two runners there have really gapped me now, so the two of them are really going for it as we are now approaching the final left turn and what you might call the home straight to the finish line. So thank you marshals again, being out there doing a great job monitoring the traffic. But as I say, the people driving around were all being very sensible and keeping their eyes out. So lots of signs, as you can see on the left here. Thank you, Marshall, warning drivers of runners like us. So there's a huge gap now between us. So I'm now approaching, I know I'm approaching the 9 mile mark. I've just glanced at my watch just to see how much time I have with 1 mile to go. Now, I've not reached the 9 mile marker just yet. You can see it here on the left. So 9 mile, 1 mile to go. This is now where I've literally turned on the gas, and the guy in the orange vest has now left the guy in the black vest up front. So I'm now approaching the guy in the black vest. I've turned my gas on, so not afterburners just yet, because it is a mile. A mile is still a long way, but you can see the gap is closing on the guy in the black. Now, has he burnt himself out? Because he did make a move with 2 miles to go. You would have seen him gap the guy with the orange vest, who's now left him for dust. Absolutely left in the dust. We're still passing other people, lapping other people who are on their third loop. This is now my final loop with less than a mile to go. So I'm now really pushing it. You can hear my breath. Can you hear the breath there? Yeah? I'm really soaking in the oxygen here. Traffic on our right. Oh, is that the police? Maybe I wasn't going too fast. Hopefully they didn't get me a speeding ticket. No, I don't think I was going that fast. So whilst I was closing the gap on the guy, you can see the guy in orange has absolutely left us all for dust. But I'm pushing also. So all three of us are literally going for it. But can I catch him up? Can I catch the guy in the black vest up? Because this is a beautiful section of the race, that I said. Wonderful road where we can just literally turn on the gas and go for it. And I'm absolutely gunning for it right now. But the gap is not closing. The gap is not closing, but I'm still persisting. Whilst I've turned the gas on and going on, I can only go as quick as I can. So I feel like I'm going as quick as I can, not sprinting, because I know a mile is a long way. I can't really sprint it like it's the last 100 metres, but I'm still going for it. The gap remains consistent, so that guy is going for it, I'm going for it. The guy in the orange vest seems to be lost, gone off the horizon. Oh yeah, no, he's in front of the guy, so he's still in there, still in picture. There, you can see him now on the curve of the road. So are we going to catch up with the guy in the orange vest? Did the guy in the orange vest go too soon on that 1 mile to go? So the orange and black vest seem to be closing the gap also, with me catching up there. It's all to play for. So we are now finally approaching the final section, coming to Boddington village, and you can see the church just there on the horizon on the right hand side above the hedge. We are coming to Boddington. Yes, another glance at the watch. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I'm almost sure at some point I looked, and this is where you should never trust your GPS. I think it was saying like 800 meters to go. Now from here, there is no way there is 800 meters to go. There's a lot more than 800 meters to go. So there was me thinking I could get a new lifetime personal best. So the guy in black has now caught up with the man in the orange vest. This is incredible. Those two are literally going, as I said earlier, nip and tuck. We're now in Boddington village. We've seen the signs on right and left, so we're now inside the village. So orange vest is now behind black vest man, so the black vest has gone past him. This is incredible. These two are properly having a duel for the final mile. Nip and tuck, nip and tuck. So the guy in the black vest did make a move with 2 miles to go, gapped us all, but the orange vest caught him with a mile to go and then gapped him, but that's now been brought back together. We've got a huge puddle on the right there, so I don't want to be running through that. I don't want to ruin my lovely shoes, do I? So we stay on the right. We're now coming to the final section of the race. Final section of the race, and you can see those two are really going for it big time. So I'm trying to hold my racing line. Thank you, Marshall, on the right. Thank you, supporters. Yes. So there's a few potholes, little holes there in the road I'm avoiding. Going along, we've got the marshals cheering us on here, which is fantastic. So those two are still going for it. I'm going for it. Can I close the gap? So at this point now, I think there's about 600 meters to go. 600 meters to go. Can I catch them? Are they tiring? Can I pick up my pace? So I am actually giving it a race now. Thank you, Marshall, for coming out. Thank you. I am giving it some, but not enough. It's 600 meters to go, and it's a downhill section from now all the way to the finish. Whilst you can see it's a mild downhill, not too much. Thank you, supporters, on the right there. So the cars are driving through nice and slow. So I'm keeping to the right-hand side of the road and keeping this going. Thank you, marshals. I've now lost sight. No, back in sight. The guy in the black top seems to have gapped the one with the orange vest. Left him behind. I'm now pushing it really hard because I can smell the finish line. I can absolutely smell the finish line. Let's keep this going. Those two are still going for it. They ain't giving up, are they? The gap is closing. I'm closing the gap on these two. But do I run out of road before the finish line? I am closing the gap on them. Oh, we've got a mile uphill. Those people are doing a cool down run after they've finished. But we're going, oh, it's a mile uphill here. I am closing the gap. Yes, the gap is closing mildly, but again, do I run out of road before I catch them at the finish line? A slight turn to the right. Thank you, supporters. Hello, yes. And the supporters here on the left, we can see the finish line now. We can see the finish line coming up, and I'm absolutely giving it some down this hill. I am putting the medal down. I've glanced at my watch again to see what the seconds are left. Can I come in with a lifetime PB? Can I come in with a course PB? Look at the time, look at the time. 1:06:20 seconds is the clock time. Chip time of, wow. Now here, this lovely lady who takes the timing chip off my shoe. Yes, congratulations. Thank you, number 79. The lady here has asked me to takes off the timing chip. Very kind of her. Thank you very much. So I'm now lining up to get my official time. What official time do I have? So I know I've absolutely smashed my course PB from last year. So my official time, here it is. Oh yes! 1 hour, 6 minutes and 16 seconds. Winning my age category also, which is like the icing on the cake. Absolutely wasn't expecting that. And wow, what a brilliant race. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yes, hard going, but absolutely loved it. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. There's some of the Western Tempo runners, Fee and Charlie. Well done, everyone. Great to see you all. And yeah, we're having a bit of a chat there at the finish line, and it was quite something. Well, what can I say? Massive course PB, over 3 minutes. I think 3 minutes and 16 second course PB. Second fastest, beating my time at the Boddington 10, literally at the end of December, which was a British Masters race where I came third. I got the bronze medal in that race, and I think I was maybe a few seconds quicker, slower about that. But thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it, and fantastic race by CLC Striders, and look forward to seeing you all soon.